Hi, I'm Jeannie Thoren, and this is with skis.com. A lot of people ask me, how did you ever get into this business? What were you thinking? Well, I grew up in Upper Michigan on really hard slopes that sound like this. I wasn't born out west with a powder spoon in my mouth. I was trying to ski on the side of a bowling ball. As I was growing up, I loved to ski more than anything. I was good in all sports, and I loved to ski, and I was a ski racer, but I kept hearing things like, do this, do that, get forward, don't do this, don't do that. And I tried as hard as I could, and I achieved at a really high level, making the junior nationals, and had a great time. But there was always something wrong with my skiing. I was always a little bit too knock-kneed. I could never really hold on my edges as well as I wanted to, and try. I couldn't do it. Well, one day I got hit by a bolt of lightning in Jackson Hole, Wyoming in the early 70s. Well, not really. What happened was I caught an edge and I went over the cliff. And it kind of scared me, and I had read a book called How the Racers Ski by Warren Witherall. It was all about canting, alignment, bodies, knock-knees. And I read the book, and I found out by going to the ski shop that I was really a knock-kneed girl skier. And they put cants underneath my bindings. They altered the stance of me standing on my skis, and that was the turning point in my life in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, 30 years ago. So one thing led to another. From that day, I didn't believe when somebody told me to change something, and I tried 100 times, 1,000 times, and I couldn't change it. I started to mess around with my equipment. And I didn't really know what I was doing in the old days. I just wanted to ski better. I wasn't trying to start a revolution. I just wanted to ski better. So I made changes first with footbeds and with heel lifts and moving my bindings forward. It took me 10 years to figure out how I could ski better. And then in 1980, I started looking. I was living in Sun Valley at the time, and I was riding up the chairlift looking down below me going, if that person knew what I knew about changing equipment, they'd ski better today, not another million lessons or not another 10 years on the slopes, but just by changing their equipment. And that whole time, I always skied with the guys. My instructors were men, my coaches were men, the people I hung out were all guys. And then all of a sudden I'm riding the chairlift and I'm looking down and all the people that had problems like me were women. And that's when I opened up the can of worms. It was in 1980. I started asking women, say, do you want to try something strange? And I'd start messing around with their equipment. And one by one and year by year, I started finding out that we as a group of people, women, skiers, had similar problems to each other. And that we couldn't really muscle things. We had to use finesse and technique and the right gear. So over the years, it kind of snowballed and snowballed. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but it led to doing massive clinics around the country, coast to coast, and slowly but surely figuring out that the design parameters in the business had to change for women. They had to change the boots to fit better, and they had to change the skis so that women could actually do the right things on them. And the whole thing was just about fun. And women asked me, well, why did you figure this out? And I went, well, when I was figuring this out, you had your first child, and you were busy with them. And then when I figured out the second thing, you had your second child. So women get caught up in their lives and taking care of everybody else, and because I never ever had children, I was able to just focus on skiing and helping other women. And along the way I thought, gee, this is kind of a silly way to live my life. And then I realized that for the women that are doctors during the week, they're nurses, they're school teachers, that if I could make their skiing happier on the weekends, where they're having fun instead of working hard and being cold, miserable, scared, out of control, that was really what I was supposed to be doing with my life. So I never really planned it this way, it just ended up this way. And as a result now, in 2009, you look around and almost half of the gear now is specifically made for women. So I can actually just kind of sit in this chair and put rockers underneath and go away because my job is done, but I still have to go skiing tomorrow. And I wish all of you could go with me. See you on the slopes.